Good evening, everyone, and welcome to BIMChat. My name is Dineo Pro Mudise, and our guest today is Elri Liebenberg. Just waiting to see if she can join the conversation. She was born in Rustenburg and she is currently based in America. So her story is quite interesting. Can't wait to get to chat to her. If you have any questions, please make sure that you post them down below. Hi, Elri.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity just to sit down and chat to you for a while.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you were born in Rustenburg. You attended high school at Bersig, which
Yes, that's correct.
which is one of the high schools that excelled quite well in terms of sports in Rustenburg.
Yes, in a lot of sports and academics, they've quite come a long way.
And I don't know if you know this, but I think I've actually played up against you. I know you played netball and you also participated in athletics. So I think I've seen you somewhere on a netball court before because I'm also from Rustenburg.
Oh yeah, that could be because that was my life before basketball became my life. It was netball, 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 and then I did athletics and I went to the South African Championships for it. So I've kind of been all around.
And each of those sports, I believe, have kind of played a role in building the momentum or the opportunity of you playing basketball.
Yes, netball kind of gave me the foundation and some of the ball work that I needed. I was a goal shooter, so I think that kind of helped shooting without a backboard, and then transitioning into basketball made it a lot easier. Just having regular ball skills and things like that helped out a lot.
And how did you get exposed to the game of basketball?
It's actually a very interesting and a very fun story. Me and my mom was in the mall shopping. I was the Joker in our school play. So we went out to go get makeup and get everything ready for the play. And as we were walking, this really big guy approached me and he said, "Do you play basketball?" I'm like, "No, we don't have basketball. I've never heard of basketball being played in the schools." And long story short, he got me on the court, gave me a basketball, and this was at the age of 17. And I started dribbling the first time, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I started practicing and started playing games. But yes, it was a simple introduction.
And you started playing basketball at the junior NBA program.
Yes, that's correct.
And how was that experience like for you? And what memories do you have from playing in that league?
So I think my besides winning championships, I think the memory that sticks with me the most is the camp with Coach Johnny. I will never forget. It was a team bonding that like I've never experienced before, not even the United States. We practiced before the crack of dawn, and that meant to get up before the sunrise and run to the court as we slept in classrooms, and we had a ball, and it was the experience that you can't buy with money, because the team building and just the love and the passion that these coaches and my fellow teammates had was just something that's going to stick with me forever.
And through that experience, you got the opportunity to play at Basketball Without Borders. And how did that impact your development as a basketball player?
So at the time, I didn't know much about who is who and what is what, and I didn't realize how big Basketball Without Borders was until later on. I just saw it as a basketball camp. And all these people approached me at the camp, and I even made some friends from Egypt and as the camp was. I just thought it was such an amazing opportunity to get to meet players from all over the continent.
Yeah.
And later on, I realized the kind of people that I met there and the opportunities that came from there was simply because I was friendly. It was kind of like, your own personality. And it's not doing something, oh, I have to go here because I have to get this opportunity. No, it's just be who you are, where you are, and opportunities will be able to knock on your door.
And those opportunities have basically granted you the opportunity of studying abroad. And you're currently playing for CC SJ. How has that experience been like for you?
It's been amazing. I mean, yes, it opened the door for me to come to DePaul, where I thought that's where I will start and finish my career. Unfortunately, that was not the case. I did transfer to a smaller college, a D2 college in Rensselaer, and they closed down. The whole college shut down. So I had to transfer again to Calumet College. And even though it's a really small college, it is the best decision I've ever made, because now I was able to focus not just on sport, but what I can do with sport and how many people I can help outside of sport. Whereas going to a D1 college, it's a great experience, but it's all about sport, and they don't give much attention, or there's not that love and that connection and everything else that you have. And here at Calumet, I know I've been to the president of the college house for dinner before, whereas at bigger colleges you don't get to do that. Mm-hmm. So the opportunity, it gave me the doorway to come into the United States, which I'm so grateful for. But transferring to a smaller school is honestly the best decision I've ever made.
And you've been also talking about how your love for sports has actually been able to grow through this. You were exposed to volleyball as well since you started to play. How has that experience been?
Yes, that is something that I've never thought that I could ever do. When I first came to Calumet, the volleyball coach approached me and he said, "Oh, do you want to play volleyball?" I said, "I have never hit a volleyball a day in my life." And I said, "No, I have to heal," because at the time I had ankle reconstruction. Okay. So I couldn't play basketball. I had to sit out for quite a while. So I was still in rehab, and I was still, getting back on my feet for basketball. And a couple of years went by, and a new volleyball coach came, and he asked me the same question. And the moment that went through my head is that moment I walked in Waterfall Mall in Rustenburg, where the coach approached me and asked if I want to play basketball. And that same thing went through my head as, don't let this opportunity slip by. You only live once. Yeah. So with that in mind, I said, okay, let's do it. In a matter of 3 weeks, I started playing my first game. And I loved it. I had no idea what I was doing, but I simply I enjoyed it so much. And it was just an experience that, again, I can't trade for the world, just because I took that leap of faith to say, hey, I'll do it.
Listening to how you've been talking about the way that you were approached, the way that you were exposed to the game, someone literally saw the potential in you and introduced you to something that you had never been basically exposed to. So what impact would you say coaches have had in your development, and any lessons that you've learned from them?
Honestly, I could write a book about what coaches, good and bad, has had an impact on me. Because honestly, you're not going to have a great experience with all coaches. And that has happened with me before. But the thing is, you can't take that and dwell on it. You have to look at the positives. You have to look at what the positive in the coaches has brought to your life. Honestly, my first and, well, not really first, but the biggest impact so far has been Coach Johnny from Ball in Motion. Because not only coaches like him, they don't just care about the game. They care about the person before they care about the player. And just the character that they build, it just has stuck with me. Because if you come across a coach that all they want to do is win, you don't build a chemistry, and after your time is done with them, you move on. Whereas coaches like Coach Johnny, Coach Junior, and then here at Calumet, Coach Angela, and also our athletic director, Rick Torres. People like them care about your development as a character. So if you are doing something that's quote unquote out of line or that doesn't fit with who you are, they stay on top of you. And a couple of coaches told me that once a coach stopped talking to you, that's when they stop caring. My current coach, Curry, I'll never forget. He always, you can hear him when you sleep at night. Yeah. And he said, put your hand in the cookie jar. So it's really, it's beyond basketball. It's really what they have done for you outside of basketball and what you have done for them outside of basketball.
And you've also recently just graduated. Congratulations on the achievements. What inspired you to study education and psychology?
It's my love for children. Ever since I was little, I always knew that I wanted to become a teacher. I mean, we played school as kids, and I was always the teacher. And I guess with my personality, it always worked out. But I want to make a difference in the world. If it's not a big difference, but maybe just one kid at a time. And that's why I also went into special education. Psychology is, I love to know why people do the things they do. And I love figuring out how I can help them. And with psychology and the study of the brain and the human behavior, it helped me a lot understanding kids in the classroom.
And can you please tell us about the opportunities that you have been given through having good grades?
So when I was at DePaul, we went to France. We toured there. And then recently, last year, I was given the opportunity. I was picked one of 4 out of the college. And we went to Greece and Italy. And this was a paid trip by the college. And I had such a great time. And honestly, if it wasn't for my grades, then I wouldn't have been accepted into the honors program.
Yeah.
So I've been a part of the College Honor Society for the past 3 years, and through that in good standing, because there's a lot of things that you have to do. It's not just grades. It's community service. It's leadership. It's everything in the college, and it's kind of a reward for your service. And the college paid for us to go to Greece.
And you've been excelling well. Your grades have been looking great. Your GPA has always been above 4.0. What has been your motivation throughout everything?
Honestly, it's family and people back home. I think my biggest motivation is the fear of failure. Because for me, it's packing up my things and going home. Because so many people has put so much money, effort, energy into me that if I fail simply because I did not give it my all in the classroom and I have to go home, then that would be the biggest embarrassment for me. So I think that's what not only pushed me and motivated me, but it pushed me even harder to say, look, I can do this. And no matter where you are from, if you work hard, if you study hard, if you get the right resources, you can do it. Because in high school, I mean, I barely got 70%. I was a 60, 70, sometimes 50. I was average in high school. And when I got to college and I saw all these 90 and above percentages coming in, I realized that nobody held me back but myself. And if you believe in yourself and you say, this is what I'm going to do, and you do it, then it can be achieved and much more. And now I'm graduating with 2 degrees.
And as someone who has been granted such an opportunity to study abroad, what impact would you say does that have on building the basketball community when we have more athletes studying abroad?
Honestly, you're not building yourself. You're not just building yourself. You're building yourself with knowledge and wisdom so that you can go back and you can give back. Every summer I go home and I participate in basketball camps and I give back the knowledge that I've gained over here. And my goal one day is to, once I'm done here, is to return back home and start my own company where I can help kids and I can live out my passion. But the thing that we all fail to realize is once you have achieved what you have achieved abroad, you have to give back. Because if you don't give back, then it's selfish. What about the time, the effort, the knowledge that people back home has put into you? Where are you going with that? Are you putting your money and everything else back into the foreign country, or are you giving back where you came from? Because your roots is what's important. And honestly, sometimes you can lose track of that because it's nice. It's nice here. The money is nice. Everything, but the important is who you are, where you started from, and what you're giving back, because sometimes, especially when you start out, you can't give money. It's really, really hard. You want to help so much, but you can't give money. So what you can give is your knowledge, is the wisdom, is what you've gained, and you can reach out through that.
And thinking about the knowledge and the wisdom that you've gained through playing basketball, what do you think is needed in order to grow women's basketball, looking at our country individually, but also worldwide?
I think the biggest thing is not just focusing on dribbling a ball. I think it's going to come to more than that. At the last BIM camp, I spoke to some of the girls on personal issues. And I think that's the problem. We as girls growing up, we don't have the necessary role models. We have a handful of role models. And those role models can't stay in your life for a very long time because, of who they are. I've met Ruth Riley also, and I've had a great time with her. And it's just time, and people grow apart. So the thing is, you should be that role model. And I think if we have more role models to help girls to say, what do I do in this situation? I mean, for example, what do I do if I accidentally get pregnant? You're not going to go to your mom or your dad necessarily. You can't go to a male coach necessarily. You can't. So there has to be a foundation set as things that women go through, because males don't necessarily understand that. What do I do if I'm on a period and I have to go practice? That knowledge and that kind of input we need for girls all around, because I think once those little stress levels are taken away, we can excel and then focus on dribbling a basketball.
Very well said. And any other word of encouragement or words of advice to young girls that are working very hard to get in a position like you where they can also study abroad?
My advice would be to never give up. The road is really hard and it's really, really long. It has not just been moonshine and roses here. I've had to travel on my bike through snow just to get to school. I wake up at 4 a.m. because I lived far, and I had to ride my bike for 10 miles. And that's not because that's what I chose necessarily. It's because of what you want. You have to look at the end goal. What are you trying to achieve? And the journey might be long, and you might want to give up quite a few times, but just don't. Just don't. Doesn't matter how hard it is. You have to keep pushing. And the more you push, the more worth it it's going to be, because you're going to regret it. What if I just kept pushing a little bit harder? And this is not just pushing daily on the basketball court in practice. No, this is pushing outside. This is pushing your will to live. This is pushing you want to get up and do something. You excelling in your school, you excelling in your relationship with your parents, with friends. It's just keep on going. Do not, under any circumstances, give up, because there is a light on the other side of the tunnel. And always remember where your strength comes from, because He, the Lord, has created you. And with His love and His grace is the reason why we're here. So don't forget that.
Man, Elri, you have such an inspiring story and you have so much words of wisdom to share. It's been a great pleasure getting to chat to you and listening to your story and listening to all the experiences that you've had. Just looking at the comments here, Jamek17 says, proud to be CCSJ president and know Elri, she is awesome. Oratile also says, Fields College misses you. I am Coach K says, give to those and it will be given back to you. Amen. And I don't think there's any questions that have been posted, but I think everyone has been enjoying your story. Like I said, very inspiring. There's a lot of reactions with love. And looking, just before we let you go, looking at the current pandemic, how have you been training and working out?
Honestly, that has not just been a physical struggle, but I think it's also been a mental struggle, because you're by yourself. And motivating yourself is so much harder, because if you're in a team and we're working out together, we're motivating each other. So I think first that I've worked on is motivating myself mentally. And the thing I've enjoyed the most was, because here in the States we could still walk our dog and stuff like that. I would take my dog on very long walks. I would take the bike, or we would go run and just kind of get out of the house and get that fresh air. And also doing a little bit a day. If you set tiny goals and you reach them every day, then you are going to become a better person. So let's say, for instance, you do 20 sit-ups, 10 push-ups, things like that, where it's not extremely hard, but daily you do a little bit more. And each day, if it's dribbling a ball, let's say you're working on hand, you're working on dribbling skills. It's just doing a little bit. And as you do a little bit every day, at the end, you'll be able to do a lot more. But it's building your mental focus. It's building your mental strength before you can build physical strength.
Once again, Elri, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. There's so much love that's being shared here. I can see your family is watching. Mom says she loves you. I can see that there's a lot of support here, and which kind of lets us know the type of person that you are as well. Very family based.
It honestly, that's what keeps you going. Is your family, and it is. That is my biggest motivation. My dad that has spent countless hours, supporting the family. My mom that has, and even now, still in college, mom still helps with homework. Yeah. When I'm stuck, I mean, she still helps with homework, and by this time she could have had my degrees. And my brother and my sister, their support and their love, it's honestly what gets you out of the deep holes. When you're mentally not in a good place, and family and friends are there, that's what pulls you out, because there's no greater unconditional love than your parents.
Family support is definitely a must.
Yes.
So with that being said, your family definitely will always be supporting you. Rustenburg will be supporting you. South Africa will be supporting you. And all the best with your future endeavors after this whole pandemic has toned down a bit. But we really wish you the best with your journey with CCSJ.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
All right, then. Have a great. What time is it on your end?
So right now it's 11:24 in the morning.
So have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much, and have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.